Lonesome Lance podcast, Lonesome Report. It is October 15th, 8:15 p.m. It's been this time of year gets tough for us. We did it last year. We're now a year in, so we can remember a year ago. We're both very
Wow.
busy. I actually had a rain day, which we're harvesting and we're done with beans and we're on to corn, and it's kind of rained on and off all day. And when you haven't been home, then you try to get everything done when you are home.
Yep.
Um, and Shad's buying cattle and selling cattle
Yep. And it's on fire.
and losing his ass. All right.
It's on fire.
Um, this episode brought to you by the people who go to our website. Go to support, click on that little support thing at the top. Comes down. You can support us by either buying a subscription, or which is just a way to support what we're doing, or you can go to the merch page to the store and buy ball cap, t-shirt, whatever.
You
Um,
betcha. Tell your friends and family. Come on now.
yeah, share the podcast. That's the number one way you support us is to share it, keep us growing.
Jim, you can't believe how many messages I got two today from people that are like, we love what you're doing. Here's some more information on the U.S. Forest Service or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I'm going to send you more information. Please keep it up. So we appreciate all that true
We do
support.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Sorry if we don't always get back to you, at least me. But I'm trying. I've got caught up somewhat on emails, but I don't know. We could talk all day about that. Let's get into stuff.
All right, let's get into it.
Um, Big week, I guess, in everything. So
Yeah.
this we mainly talk about agriculture on this podcast. Mainly talk about the cattle business, but it is an agriculture podcast, and I feel like the main subject in agriculture for a few weeks now has been soybeans for whatever reason. And if you're wondering why Shad's lighting is a little different, it's because it's nighttime, and so he's got. I don't know. It just looks. I don't know. We're doing what we can there. You don't have to make it worse.
Show my forehead. I thought maybe my
Uh,
forehead would light it up a little.
yeah. But thanks to everyone who listens also on audio only, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. Then you don't have to see
There,
how bad Shad's
Chad
lighting is.
looks.
Um,
You're a real good friend.
but the soybean deal, nobody, I feel like everyone, for some reason, everyone's focused on soybeans. The price of everything sucks, right? I mean, as far as grains go, sucks right now. But they want to focus on soybeans. Well, and the thing is that I don't understand. Apparently, we're giving $20 billion to Argentina. Argentina, China's mad at us, so they're not buying any soybeans from us because of the trade war and tariffs and all that. And so they're buying a bunch of soybeans from South America, Argentina, and Argentina's broke, so we're giving them $20 billion. And then they're also not tax. They don't have any export tax or tariff tax. They took that off for what they're selling to China. So that's going on.
Yeah.
Do you? But I mean, we talked about it earlier. It's like, why are we doing this? I
Well,
don't
I
know.
know why.
Okay, here we go.
Well, I mean, this is a huge portion of it. So the way I understand it is this Malay who is a conservative. Uh, he's the president of Argentina. He's conservative. Um, it looks like that his party took a heck of a hit in their last election. So his conservative movement has slowed to a halt, but he's very, very like minded with Trump. And Trump really likes him. And in fact, Trump come out and said he's mega, make Argentina great again, just like we are. And so, because they have this very closely centered ideology, Trump forms is forming this or has formed this relationship with him, and that is the very foundation of this $20 billion bailout, the way I understand it, because they're very like-minded. Trump says if he goes on and wins, we'll be with him.
Well,
And
that he gets the 20 billion. That's what I've read. Like,
he already got the 20 billion, but there's some sort, and you're going to have to be the expert here. It's a peso to dollar exchange
Yeah, and
type
that's what I
deal.
was looking up too. And I am no expert on that. I don't really get what. So it's not just a we're handing over $20 billion. We're exchanging it for pesos, Argentinian pesos apparently. But I don't know what that gets us and the rates and anything else. But the way it's being reported, I don't feel like nobody knows what it means because nobody's explaining it.
I
And that's
kind of
where
feel
I
the
get
same
off too.
way.
We're the brave ones saying that we don't know what the heck we're talking about. Where
Right.
all these reporters be like, "Well, this is a currency exchange." And they know that 99% of the people reading their articles don't have any idea what that means, but they don't want to explain it because they don't know either. Anyway,
Well, um, so anyway, they have the same ideology. Trump likes him. He bails him out. It pisses our soybean farmers off, which, I get that. I mean,
all right, soybean farmers are pissed off, but
well,
they just are looking around for
20
who's blank.
billion dollars. I
And we're
mean,
going to get into that. I think it should piss off every American. I don't think we need to, we're in debt. We can't, the government shut down and it gives an obvious into like, oh yeah, we're just throwing money at them, but we can't afford
well,
to
the
pay.
gripe was is China stopped buying our soybeans, and then we give them this $20 billion bailout for their economy, and then they make a deal with China to buy their soybeans. And that is the rub with all of these soybean farmers. I get that. Now, as far as being an expert in all that, I'm not the guy.
Okay, here's the deal on the soybeans that's driving me nuts, and it's driven
Okay.
me nuts for a long time because nobody talks about it, and so that's why you listen to us because we're gonna say things that nobody else is gonna say. And what I'll say is, for years, the reason the soybean prices, everybody's like, well, what? Why are soybeans down so much? They were down during Biden, and everybody's blaming Trump now for this trade war, and it's the tariffs, and it's this, and it's that. It is the agriculture system. Our last podcast was, I put the headline up, broken agriculture system or something like that. But this soybean definitely shows the system and what has been done by the American Soybean Association. That's the reason they want to come out and blame this all on the trade war because
Sure.
the price of beans was, I think, worse, or it was a couple of weeks ago. It was worse than it was uh, a, a year ago. It was worse. So it's actually like 6 cents better, is when I was reading the Twitter post or whatever. So during Biden's term, the soybean price was just as bad as it is during Trump. Like it hasn't really dropped that much because of anything going on. What has caused this? This is just an overall pricing thing. And the obvious thing to that, I've been Googling, I've got a million articles up, and I think I'm going to try to write something out about this because there's more than I can get into on the podcast. But we have exported all of our agriculture technology and all of our resources, and all these corporations have pushed the ability to produce massive yields and large amounts of soybeans to into South America.
Hmm.
In 2017, Brazil became the largest exporter or producer of soybeans in the world, and nobody's talking about that right now. And it was just, I mean, it's 8 years ago, and they can, if you look at the graphs, I'll try to put one up, but it shows, America has either going down or staying a little bit steady on as far as
Hmm.
acres producing soybeans, and Brazil is up, up, up. I have an article here. Everybody's scratching their head, and it blows my mind that more people, no one is saying this. But okay, so here's an article from Farm Progress, May 2025. Um, says since 2015, Brazil's soybean acreage has increased 42% and production is up 57%. So this is just right here in the spring. How does the U.S. stack up against this key South American competitor? And it starts out, the proof was right there on the paper, right before his eyes. He just couldn't get his head around it. Was that colorful chart really saying what he thought it was? When Johanna Calusi finished speaking and asked for questions, the farmer got a chance to double check. The chart there in slide 4 makes it look like Brazilian soybean acres are way up since 2015. If you run those numbers, it's like a 42% increase in acreage and over 57% increase in total soybean production in 10 years. Is it right? It is right. answered Calusi, a native of Brazil who's an extension ag economist at the University of Illinois. So there you go. In the last 10 years, Brazilian soybean acres is up 42%, and the total increase in production is 57%. And we have, you know, who the two of the, a couple of the companies that are down there producing all these soybeans or in the soybean business is are Brazilian companies, but a couple of them are also Cargill, Bunge, and then the corn is the same way. And we have the Summit Ag who's trying to take over farmers' land and put pipelines in everywhere. But they're doing the same thing in Brazil, and they're putting in ethanol plants all over Brazil. And so now we have, corn farmers are like, what the heck's going on? Why is the corn price down so low? Well, they've done the same thing with corn. But the reason nobody's talking about this is because it's the corporate ag world. We've dealt with this in the cattle business for
Hmm.
a few years now, and that's how I kind of got started, and you got started in talking about things. Is this, the corporate concentration and control ran prices
Globalism.
down, and it broke farmers and
Yeah.
ranchers, and so now here we are where this is definitely happening in the grains. Um,
Well, you have this oversupply. If you're 42% more,
in
you have a
acreage
globe.
and
Yeah, in
continuing to increase.
right. So you have this global oversupply, and then you had Trump come in and create. I mean, there were already trade tensions, but obviously, the tariffs created a lot of trade tensions. And then, he decides he's going to give his buddy a bailout in Argentina, and that makes all the soybean farmers mad. And but really, I think what you're saying is this is just in line with the march to globalism. It's the corporate concentration of power. Um,
Yeah, and
so
and so why aren't you hearing about this? Well, American Soybean Association's been all in on this crap. Iowa Soybean Association. Let me read you one other article. I've got five of them open here that I could get into. But here's an article from September 12th, 2024. So a little over a year ago. Iowa Soybean Association farmer member Grubbs hosted a group of soybean and corn producers from Brazil. So he brought 30 Brazilian farmers, corn and soybean farmers, over to Iowa Soybean Association, brought them over, and they toured all kinds of stuff. And
wow,
so it says, with a visit to the Iowa Soybean Association office in Ankeny, the group traveled to John Deere, Iowa State University, Corteva, biofuel company Summit Agriculture Group. There's your Summit Carbon.
that's Summit Carbon
And the
Solutions.
2024 Farm Progress Show that was being held that week in Boone.
Wow,
And it was two farm visits from the Brazilians that they were excited about. It said, okay, here, most of our members really wanted to see the system of production here in Iowa and how it compares to what they do in Brazil. It provides them with a better understanding of what happens outside. I mean, it says it was a great learning experience, one of the Brazilians said. We were able to take advantage of the opportunity to see the differences in crop cultivation here. But I mean, it just goes into like all of those companies, John Deere, all of those companies, and they talk about over the past 10 years. 10 years ago, soybean prices were really good. And from the 10-year, probably before that, um, I can remember, farmers were making a killing during the 2008 recession, or the housing crisis, because the news across the country was we were kind of going into a recession, but farmers were making a lot of money on grain prices. And so when you get to that point where like Cargill and Bunge and these massive corporations are making massive amounts of money, well, what do they always want to do? They want to make more, but we're kind of maxed out here as far as acreage. So where do they look? They all went to South America, and here
right.
we are. 10 years later, they're up 42% in acreage and 57% in production. And, and a lot of it, there's another article, which I'll get into. If you follow Lonesome Lands, follow us on social media, all this stuff. I don't have this all laid out right in front of me for the podcast because we've been busy. It's 8 o'clock at night. But um, Cargill was in all kinds of trouble. Here is the headline: Trader Cargill Pension Fund TIAA, which I believe is a teacher retirement fund,
Yeah.
linked to land grabs in Brazil's Cerrado. This is from 2021, but it says global commodities giant Cargill continues to buy soybeans from a farm in Brazil that cultivates on illegally acquired and deforested land. The farm in Bahia State has been implicated in a $200 million land grabbing scheme being investigated by Brazilian authorities. Also implicated in the case is a teacher's pension fund. So
Yeah.
I mean, they're just in Brazil. We've been all through this talking about the beef industry. It's an incredibly corrupt country. They are, cause clear cutting rainforests to put in agricultural land, and of course, a lot of that's been blamed on cattle. But I think the main culprit is soybeans.
So
Anyway,
where do we, so just a question is where do we stand on American subsidies to American soybean producers?
what do you mean? Where do we stand on it?
Well, I mean, is it highly subsidized? Because according to what I find, it's the second highest subsidy um, in the farm payment program
Yeah,
to the tune of $2 billion in 2024.
yeah, and I don't. I need to learn more about how all of that works because I don't know. I just know they send out checks and people get them and they don't even know what they're for. And you know, but I mean the whole thing is the crop insurance. It
Yep,
it makes it to where you can't lose. There
it's
was a
ag.
cash rent auction in Iowa. Somebody posted on Twitter. All these farmers complain about they're going broke. It went for four. It was a large amount of acres. I can't remember what it was, but it was 475 bucks an acre. I
Wow,
mean, that is an incredible amount. It's,
wow.
more than double what a lot of people are paying. And so, yeah. But when you have an industry that you can't lose in, that's subsidized by the government, um, then I mean, you get people like Bill Gates and these investment firms, and everybody's buying land and everybody wants in on it. And here we are, here we sit,
Yeah,
and they make so much money on the crops, and the corporations go to
and
South
then that's
America.
passed through the corporations.
Oh yeah, I mean like John Deere, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. That's where the money goes. And
Yeah.
that goes into there's articles now getting I read one. I can't remember who sent that to me. But how farmers talking about how the price of equipment and inputs have just went crazy because they know that these farmers can't, are making money and they have crop insurance and they're getting these subsidy checks and there is not a good reason why these increases in fertilizer and seed and definitely machinery parts all have just went through the roof. And they all blame inflation and trade wars and all the same stuff, but it's all
So
BS.
did you see that TikTok about the guy talking about how in Australia they cut all subsidy programs and in the short term it kind of hurt, but now they're back on track. The hedge funds have gotten out of the investments, and it's kind of become more, you know, supply and demand based is what it's supposed to be. Have
I
you seen
didn't
that
see that.
TikTok?
No.
I sent it to you today. You need to
Well,
look at that. It's pretty interesting.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't get to all the stuff you sent today.
Sorry.
Um, but yeah, so we're in a tough situation because we don't want to see anybody going broke either.
No,
But
we
you
don't want
get
to.
these people with and that's the other thing. This guy, the main one last year or last week, I think he said he was losing 300 bucks an acre or something like that.
Mhm.
Or, yeah. And then they look the guy up and he owns a construction company. He owns five different companies and like farming is really one of his side deals. And everyone's talking like, yeah, I could tell he had a complete clean pressed shirt on. He doesn't look like he went out and ran the combine for the cameras to show up. But all these Trump haters, that goes into it too. If you hate Trump's guts, you know, and now these prices are down, and CNN can't wait to bring a camera out and shove it in your face if you want to talk about how this is all Trump's fault.
Well,
Um,
we knew that when Trump took office, this was going to happen, and he said it's going to be some rough
yeah,
times
he
up front.
predicted it.
Yeah, he predicted it, but
He
an
didn't
ex
predict the
post,
20 billion to
no,
Argentina.
no, an
Left
ex
that part
post,
out.
an ex post today said the Trump administration, this is breaking news, the Trump administration will set floor prices across a
Yeah.
range of industries to combat market manipulation by China, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said. And he was the one getting the most heat on the $20 billion bailout for Argentina. So I guess they have their ear.
What do you think about that? Floor prices.
I think you're in very dangerous territory
Yeah, I hate
already.
that. I
We
hate
got to
that.
be very, very careful.
Yeah. All right. Enough about soybeans. But that plays right into the cattle industry too, because what I didn't start talking about is a couple years ago, the Angus Association wanted to do a gene edit for a what did they call it? Slick hair, gene editing. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
They wanted to do a genetic alteration or a gene for slick haired cattle, meaning they would be Angus would be more hot weather,
Tolerant.
yeah, tolerant. And they got a bunch of backlash because it was gene editing. It wasn't just like, how you breed it into them. It was create this line. So, and that was like in their policy, and they got a bunch of push. I can't believe you don't remember that. It was like
I
a year or
don't
two
remember
ago.
that.
Yeah, so I think Steve Stratford made a video about it.
Dadgum.
Chris Earl, those guys, the same guys that are upset now. Um, but that goes into, like the Angus Association, the ABS, all of these, they're global corporations, and we've
Sure.
talked about that before. Like these companies, and we've gotten some pushback too. Like, don't you want these American companies to do good? These are not American
They're not
companies.
American
Tyson
companies.
is not they are America last almost companies.
That's it.
They want to go where they can make the most money. Um,
Correct.
and that's not here a lot of times because, I don't know what the labor market is in Brazil, but I guarantee you it's from what we've heard
Well,
in the cattle business, it's very corrupt and these ranchers are kind of forced in on the pricing and it's not a market like we have.
well, Jim, they're called global corporations for a reason. You were just talking about gene editing. You know, we have third-party verification systems called like IMI Global for a reason. These are global. They're not America first. Even though they're American companies, doesn't mean that they are serving the American people first. They're serving themselves first.
Yeah. So like American Soybean Association, I'm guessing because of all what we've done in the cattle, I'm guessing they're ran by Cargill and Bunge, which are the two big soybean buyers in the US. And if they want to go to South America, American Soybean Association goes right along with it and say, "Hey, bring all your farmers up here and we'll show them how to do it."
We'll
And
show
that's
you. We'll
what
teach
Iowa
you.
Soybean Association did. And
We'll give you the wisdom.
right. And so if you look at the cattle industry, there because of our independence and we have more of a not as corporate controlled, I guess, or just people that will speak up because we've had to over the few years. American Angus Association was wanted to do exactly what
Hmm.
the American Soybean Association did. And this goes into the whole methane thing too. I mean, American Angus Association wants to create a low methane gene. Well, and then they can, that's not going to be an American thing. The whole research is going, all the money's going to Australia in the first place.
That's right.
These associations are ran by global corporations. They don't care about you or your
Pay to
operation.
play. Pay to play.
All right. The price fixing lawsuit. So this came out right after I kind of posted the last podcast, and there has been a price fixing lawsuit since 2019 from consumers, class action lawsuit from consumers against the four major beef packers, Tyson Foods, JBS, Cargill, national beef. Tyson Foods settled for 55 million. Cargill settled for, was it Cargill or J?
It
Yeah, it
was
was
JB.
Cargill.
I don't know.
32.5 or
It
something
was
like
a
that.
total of 88 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, total $88 million. Weird. But I mean, that's crazy that we hadn't heard. Like, where is all this? I mean,
Well, and
Tyson
you
Foods
found it in
gets,
a Canadian.
yeah, and it
Uh,
was posted, which I looked, I kept looking, and it was actually on Reuters. So it was on Reuters and agcanada.com. That just goes to show where
that's weird.
American, I mean, I know. Tri-State picked it up and they put an article out about it, but I don't know if I've really seen it anywhere else. Um, but yeah, the American uh, beef corporations are crooked and everybody knows it. They're getting hit. Tyson has paid $160 million or 140. Last week, Tyson paid $140 million um, in price fixing settlements. 15% of $1 billion.
In
I
one
mean,
week?
yeah, they had a
Jeez.
pork one for 88 or no, it was 80 some million. And then they had the beef one for 55. That's a
Wow.
lot. So
It's
there,
unbelievable.
I mean, no, it's not. It's completely believable.
Well, it says the class action suit alleged that Tyson, Cargill, JBS, and National manipulated cattle supplies to inflate beef prices for consumers between 14 and 19. I think there was another um, lawsuit on that JBS settled
Well,
in
JBS has settled,
in a bunch.
yeah, a lot. But
Yeah,
it's interesting the two American companies settled that one and the two Brazilian owned companies have not.
right.
Um, but I mean, how does this work? Who was getting that money? Can if you can prove you bought a certain product, it's like roasts and ribs, and it was certain cuts. So there must have been details of this lawsuit. I'm not
Well,
sitting around in a
the
truck.
settlement is in 26 states.
Oh yeah, it's
Or
only 26 states too, and
26 states
Washington D.C.
and yeah, including Washington D.C. and um, comes from beef from Walmart and Costco. That's the way I understood it.
No, it listed Walmart. It said people who purchase beef from places like Walmart and Costco, it said those companies are not listed as defendants. I do remember that because they were just bringing that up as an example
Gotcha.
in the article,
Gotcha.
which was odd. But then they listed that they're not defendants. I don't know. All right.
Okay.
Lonesome Lands podcast. Is that it?
That's all I got, bro.
All right. We'll uh we'll do better next week. Maybe. I don't know. Which I'm still be going. So Chad needs to study
By
up.
the way, I'm gonna be gone next week.
Where oh yeah, in New York City.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do one from where are you staying? Central Park Mall?
No, Hilton,
Times
some
Square?
Hilton West somewhere.
Hmm. All right. New York City next week. This was bad. The end of this was
Dude,
bad.
I am so delirious. I can't, I got to do these things in the mornings.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it just is what it is. We did it last year and that same thing happened. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You'll do good.
I better get started. See you next week.
Adios.